Isaac's back. Man, it's a long time since I've seen you.
I know, right? It feels that way.
This is Isaac Cologne with Electric Brothers Electric Company. And I met Isaac. I found him on Google. Actually, I did a search, and I was looking for someone to upgrade my electrical panel because I have what's called a Federal Pacific POS attached to my house. I had to move it for a couple different reasons. One, it was at the very corner of my house that I want to remove because my driveway is too small. That was the one thing that bothered me about it. Number two, the fact that it's a Federal Pacific electric Stab-Lok, which is probably the worst panel out there. I've recommended replacing hundreds of these over the past 10 years to customers. And here I am buying a house that has one. I'm like, of course it has one. Why wouldn't it? Right? But I know what it is. I know what it means. I wasn't afraid to buy the house because of it. Yeah. And I don't think anyone out there buying a house with one of these should be afraid of buying the house. It's just a small fraction of the house. It's important. It's a safety issue, but you can definitely correct it with the help of someone like Isaac. So thanks again for being my electrical contractor. Yeah. Your company, your crew did a fantastic job. The reason why I want everyone to hear this from me. I interviewed several different electrical contractors. I've talked to different contractors on the phone. Not everybody came out and gave me estimates and stuff like that. And I did not pick you because of your price. I picked you because of your service, because you actually came out here and walked the property 3 different times, and your story didn't change at all. Yeah. Everything you said the first day was the exact same stuff you said the second day, and so on. You gave me a detailed, written out estimate with everything right on it, and you responded. You constantly responded to my calls, and I know I put you off for a while because I was still in the process of my bathroom upgrade, and it was just too much work. And I had to really think out what I wanted to do with that electrical panel upgrade. So I don't like, there's certain things I don't want to rush. And I had to plan this out for big future improvements of the house. So I had to, I don't want to just upgrade the panel box and then have to move it later. Yeah. That's doing it twice. That's just a total waste of money. So I really had to think it out. And I think that time that I put you off was perfect, because I had to finish up the bathroom project. That took a lot longer and a lot more money than I expected. So I was running a little dry there on the cash.
But it looks good though. It came out,
Yeah, it came out really good. So this is the panel that you guys have removed. This is my very own Federal Pacific piece of shit. POS, we call it. So tell people why upgrading this is a good idea.
Oh, well, everybody knows Federal Pacific.
Not everybody knows.
Yeah, not everybody knows.
Anybody in the field. Homeowners don't know this.
A lot of these is because their connection points are horrible.
Yes.
You can see that right there.
Yep.
This is your connection point for a panel, and it's...
Point at that little area? Yeah.
This is what's grabbing on for your electricity. These 2 little thin bars. Compared to a newer style breaker like a Siemens, you have a thicker bar. Right. Better contact, compressed, a lot better, not like this.
Right.
See the difference of it. Thickness of the steel is a little bit better. The heat expansion of the bars on here are a lot better, so it expands the heat better, and just that contracts the load here. That's what happens. Too much heat buildup in between here, and it's not enough.
Right.
Connection, calcium buildup. You get that little arcing, and
that's where I noticed when I was dissecting this, I pulled this apart in my garage last night. I just took all the pieces apart just so we can expose this. And this right here is the main disconnect. Yeah. And these are the 2 service conductors coming off that are going to go into the meter right up to the meter. So, like I said, this had to go. And as you can see, these breakers are here because of my bathroom upgrade. So the electrician I had prior to meeting you, who did the bathroom work for me, he had to remove a couple old ones and add some of these in here. So what else do homeowners need to know about this besides the contact point? Is that the main reason why it's a problem?
No, well, these breakers are known for not really tripping and working correctly. You know, these components they use are horrible. They're just they don't work as good.
Right. So you may turn it off and it may still be on. Yeah. And that seems to be a problem with a couple of different panels.
Yeah,
too.
a lot of times too, customers call me and say everything's on in the panel, and I don't have no power in the house. So there I go, taking with my tester, my meter, and obviously I'll check it with the stupid stick first, real quick, and see, okay, she does have power everywhere, or they do have power everywhere, but I'll still bring up my my meter and check.
Right.
I'm old school. I like to use more of the wiggy meters on stuff like this.
Right.
I saw how I was taught, and I just like that more old school. But when it comes down to technical troubleshooting, like more like on VFDs and those type of machines and motors, that's when I use my Fluke digital meter. You know, that's when I pull out that one. But
so, like I said, this is a 100 amp service.
Correct.
And we upgraded my house to what?
200 amp Siemens solar ready.
200 amps. So what we did at my house was, first thing we did, well, not I did, you guys did, is installed a 200 amp box on the back of my garage. So what I decided to do is take this off my house and then relocate the whole service behind the garage. So basically my garage is the main hub of my electrical now. There's a lot of reasons why I did that. Because I have plans on putting a ADU in the backyard eventually. Mm-hmm. So now I know I can run power to that real easy. Yeah. Super simple, short run, straight from the 200 amp.
Right.
And then having now the garage also had a few other bells and whistles, and here's one of them right here.
I remember this one. Yeah.
This garage had the oldest stuff in it. Look at this. It had this with the big throw switch on it here.
Very old school.
This was connected to. Can you grab that for me? Was also connected to another similar box this size with fuses in it. So I had a Stab-Lok, I had these fuses, and these fuses were my electrical system. But I got to be honest with you. I lived here for a year before I touched any of this, and not one of these things went out on me the whole time.
Well, probably because they didn't trip. A lot of times they don't trip. And they'll just keep on heating up until.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So when I go investigate,
I thought for sure one of these would have blown or something.
Well, that will probably give out. But usually when I go to people's houses and they're like, "Well, I never have any problems," and I start looking at all the wires and everything, I'll start looking, and sometimes you can see the jacket of the wires, like right here, it'll be bubbling.
Yeah.
It'll start getting hot, and then you can look at the neutral bus part too, and you can see if there's heat problems already because this is not tripping, and that's when I know it's already giving them problems. They just don't see it. You know?
Right. To the untrained eye, you're not going to know. But anyways, this is what I bought. All these fun things. So it was fun dissecting it and taking it all apart. Not to mention all the conduit. And I had 3 overhead lines. I'm pretty sure the homeowner did that part. The last homeowner. So we had.
No, you had 4, didn't you? You had 3.
Well, we had the main service coming in from the pole,
right?
The 240 coming in from the pole, and then from this panel we had 2 more 240s, right? 2 separate 240s going into the garage.
Oh, that's right. He had SO cord.
One was to power the garage, and the other one was to power the electric plug we talked about on the last podcast. Yeah. So. It was interesting, to say the least. So now I have no overhead lines, and that was another part of the goal.
It's clean.
Is to clean up the look of the property. So all these overhead lines, no more between the garage and the house. I only have one overhead set going between the back of the garage and the pole behind my house.
Yeah.
So the property looks a lot cleaner now.
It does.
It's really nice, and he upgraded all the electrical in the garage because he had to remove all these fuse boxes and all the conduit that went with it. And I think there was only 2 or 3 receptacles in there. Yeah. And one of them was a 2-prong that we talked about in the last podcast. And
on that side.
Yeah. So that came from that. And then we had the 240 for the dryer. So we yanked all that out. And now I have, 18 plugs in there now?
Yeah. You got couple dedicated service plugs. You got your EV for the future.
Yep, we put 6 LED lights in the ceiling, and we pimped out the attic area.
You raised up your ceiling too.
Yeah, and I raised up the garage door, so I really pimped out my garage. I still got a lot of work to do in there. I haven't finished it yet, but all the important stuff is done.
Yeah. Your project was pretty interesting though, to relocate that panel, you know. When I
Yeah.
heard a relocation, I was thinking, opposite side of the house.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm used to. But when you were telling me, I want to relocate it to all the way to the far back, I was like, okay.
Yeah. And
But
then
you had your mindset and why you wanted it. So it made
yeah,
sense to me after.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, because I have experience with houses, so I wasn't totally in the dark.
Yeah.
So I just had to think about it and stare at it for months, like I always do. Everything I do, I don't rush. I just
Stare at it.
I stare at it and go,
Sleep on it.
okay, I have to bite the bullet and pay for this job. I have to pay someone to do this job. It's just too big. But I also had to trench between the garage, and I had to cut a concrete walkway about 18 feet between the house and the garage, and I had to dig down 30 inches, and then your guys came out and dug down like 2 more inches to make sure the top of that conduit was at 30 inches.
Yeah.
So, and then these guys had to run from the back of the garage. What they did was they ran all their cable up through the garage attic, because I just built a garage attic, and then they ran it down the outside wall on the left, and then went underground. And that was a home run shot too.
Yeah.
That was 80 feet of cable?
Yeah, one shot.
I think it was 80 feet of cable. You guys had to pull from the main panel all the way through the garage, down the conduit, underground, back up into the house. And then they installed a 100 amp sub panel in my hallway. So all the power has been upgraded. And then we found some other stuff, but we'll talk about that on another episode. We got more panels to talk about here.
Yeah, we do.
So let's stay focused on that. And so if you show up to a house and you see this, what are you telling your customer?
They have an old panel. They have an old panel, and I recommend them changing it out.
Okay.
If they're just living by themselves, I get it. It's working fine. But if they're calling me because they want to do central AC and their son wants to get an EV,
yeah, it's time to upgrade.
You got to upgrade.
Yeah, but they are known to be a fire hazard.
Yeah, they are.
So a little information on this panel. I did some research just to refresh my memory. These estimated 2,800 fires a year from these panels.
Yeah.
And that's from the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So they're the ones that are saying that. And, you know, these panels were installed from mid-50s up until the 80s. I don't recall seeing any that high up, but like in the 80s or late 70s. I typically see these in 50s and 60s homes. That's when I typically see them. But my house was originally built in 1944. So my panel, the old fuse box that was probably there, was upgraded to this.
It was probably one of these, what you had before.
Yeah. And then they upgraded to the Stab-Lok, because back then that was probably the best thing since sliced bread, right?
Yeah.
As the latest thing on the market. Oh, look how pretty the orange breaker handles are.
Now you can see what's a 20.
Little did they know they were installing fire hazards.
Yeah.
But it took years later to figure that out. So, you know, I guess the Consumer Product Safety Commission determined that these panels failed certain UL calibration requirements. And that's why they started, okay, these are not that great, so we need to fix this, or, you know, stop selling them and everything else. So that's how that went down. I don't have a Zinsco with me.
No, but we think we have a Zinsco breaker, though.
We do? Okay, good.
We have a Zinsco breaker here.
I got some photos I want to show you as well.
Some of these other breakers I have here, too.
Okay, so right here, we got some photos we can look at real quick.
There you go.
So these are faulty for, is it the bus bars?
Yeah, the busings and the breakers not responding and tripping the way they should.
Okay, so the bus bar is underneath all the breakers. You can't see it.
Yeah.
You have to take the breakers off to see that.
Yeah. It's just this style busing, that the way it clips on is just not a good design, you know?
I see. So the bus, can you point to where can you point? Yeah.
So these connection points are just not good points on that busing. You know, you have two little thin bars going across and these snap in.
Right. Hold that closer to you, Mike. Yeah, like that. There you go.
So you don't have the bars, but when you dissect that panel, all you see is two little thin bars.
Yeah, two straight bars.
Real thin.
Yep.
Just horrible. They don't trip. They don't do their jobs. The breakers. They don't react. They don't react with the heat load. They don't trip when Wow, there you go.
Right. So here's another picture of one that's installed, obviously. Yeah. So it's got and look at all the wiring in there. It looks like it's overcrowded. That's probably the way it was installed.
Yeah.
It's not a very big area. Mm-hmm. These boxes are no bigger than this.
Yeah. I mean, technology back then, they didn't,
I don't think there was any technology back then.
They were still starting off. It was new, everything. You learn your mistakes,
Yeah. Live and learn. That's all. That's really all you can do. And here's the labeling. A lot of them will have a label that says right on it, Zinsco. So I do not remove these covers.
Why is that?
Only very rare I'll pull these covers off.
Okay.
When I see these installed in like an apartment or a condo, they're typically in pretty good shape because the weather hasn't gotten to them.
But the paint.
Yeah.
Remodel.
If I can, strategically, surgically remove it, the cover, I'll take it off because I'm not worried about these breakers falling off because like I said, it's on the inside of the house,
right?
And it's not just beat up from all the weather,
sun and everything.
All these other ones, they've been outside, they've been banged up, messed with who knows how many times. So I don't take those covers off. And going back to the Stab-Lok, I definitely do not take these covers off.
I didn't take yours off.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's unsafe to take this cover off because you got to lift it up and you got to push it up, which is where? Right where the meter posts are.
Right here, where these connection points are at.
Yeah.
You're getting close to those wires.
And if somebody already pushed that up a whole bunch of times and wore out these cables and you touch that, arc flash time. Hope you got your sunglasses on.
We call it a selfie.
A selfie.
You're gonna get a selfie taken.
With a really bright light.
I had one time I was in Wilshire in a high-rise building. That's when I was working for a company named Cornell Electric. One of the old companies I used to work with. Me and Juan actually. Well, Juan was my foreman when we used to work together. I used to be his right-hand side man. On all his big jobs. And I mean, I always knew Juan was capable of doing good jobs and big jobs. And I was always his right-hand person on these big jobs or whenever I was available.
Yeah.
But I was in a building, and sure enough, I was trying to pull out the fish tape that they were feeding into me.
Right.
And when I was pulling out the fish tape, it's just whipped. When you're pulling it out, it has that little sling.
Yeah.
And it touched across the phases in the whole building and the 400 amp busing, and that was far away, but it just went whack across the busing and boom.
No shit.
I knocked down the whole building.
Oh wow.
I knocked down the whole building and it just arced all over my whole face like boom. So yeah, that's good. And the fish tape lead gone. Didn't see it anymore. It was gone.
And what's that fish tape made out of?
A steel.
Oh, it is steel.
Yeah. It's made out of steel. So I remember my boss came in and goes, "Hey, you got your selfie taken?" I was like, "Yeah." And he started laughing. He was like laughing at me. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like you've just graduated now.
Yeah.
You're an official electrician.
Yeah.
You made your first mistake.
The one thing I don't like is, when you're on the field, people tell you, "Oh yeah, the power's off" and whatnot.
You can't listen to that.
I can't,
No, you can't. That's just you not being a smart person.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take someone's advice, first of all, they're not even electricians, and they're telling you the power's off. Come on, man.
So
really?
That happened to me one time. My own boss told me with the power's off, and we were doing demo in the warehouse. It's all dead. Everything's dead. So there I am, 10-foot ladder, my lineman, trying to cut the wires, and boom, lineman gone. Had a big old hole in the center of I was seeing white for like a couple minutes.
What do you mean the lineman?
Of my tools.
Cutters. Oh, the cutters.
Lineman cutters.
I thought you meant a person.
Oh, no. My lineman cutters, when I was cutting the wire to demo, it just blew up in my face. It left a big old hole. Like the lineman blades are like this when they cut and you open. It had a big old couple holes from where the wires cut.
Did you save it and put it on your wall?
Nah, I was really like probably like eighth year and doing electrical. Right. So I was doing it for 8 years, but I remember that I was mad because I was up on the ladder and I looked at him like,
now you know. You check everything yourself.
I always
now.
Check it now. I don't trust anybody. Never. Lesson learned right there.
It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. Could be a last mistake.
Yeah, could.
Yeah. So anyway, Zinsco, another one. So once again, they're known for breaker issues, right?
Yeah, they're known for not tripping or not showing a response that they look like they're chipped. People think they're stolen.
When they're off.
And they're off. You just got to really reset them correctly. Sometimes 2 to 3 times because the components inside are finicky. They're weak.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
Yeah. So let me have one of these.
Yeah.
The other ones. Yeah. So a modern day breaker.
Yeah. And that's
just so much easier and smoother.
And that's a newer style
compared to this
arc fault too, by the way.
Right.
The one you have. That's a newer style arc fault breaker.
Explain that.
Well, this is like the first style arc fault breaker, which they came out with a curly fry neutral,
with the pigtails.
Yeah, so you got to tie this
curly
neutral.
Fry.
You got to tie this neutral into the bus, and then grab the neutral from the circuit here, and then you got to line your wire load too. So you got a bunch of traffic going on here.
Yeah, yeah.
Too much traffic, too many wires.
Yep.
The neutral bus bars are like this long now.
Right.
So now they created this, which the neutral is on the busing of the bar, so you don't need to do any of that. You just snap in.
See, now that's confusing for us home inspectors.
But the panel got to be capable to carry these type of breakers, though, because you notice you can see them from. Hold on, let me show you from the angle.
Right.
Where they stab in from is here.
Yep.
And then the neutral stabs in here, the back part.
I see. But you can't see that.
No.
Not when it's installed.
That's when this gets rid of, and then that's when this comes in.
So is it going to look the same as the one with the pigtail on that end?
What is?
So if I'm looking at it as a home inspector.
Oh, you can't tell.
You can't tell the difference.
Unless you see this arc fault breaker and you don't see the neutral, then you know it's a newer style panel that's capable of adding this type of...
Well, how do I know I'm looking at a panel that's supposed to have a pigtail and it doesn't?
Yeah. See, that's the thing. This is the older style arc fault breakers with the older panels, and then these are the newer ones which don't require the neutral.
So the newer ones are blue?
I'm not sure if the newer ones are blue. That's a good question.
So what I'm trying to get at is...
I say she had 15, this is 20, so it could be a difference.
I see. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how can I explain to other home inspectors how to identify if it should or should not have that wire. Is there a label on there in the front that we can read that might say it?
Oh, you can see right here. It says neutral, and the point on there where it says it on that one, and this one doesn't.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. An indicator. Yeah.
An indicator,
okay. Cool.
It does.
Let me see that real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. All right. So it's got to have that indicator on it. Now, is that a sticker or is that embedded in there?
I can't see from here.
That's a sticker. Okay. Yeah, that can actually come off. GFCI Class A ground fault A30. That's the old one. Okay, CAFCI. 301. Yeah, I have to look into that some more because trying to identify that just by staring at it, it's going to be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Because that's the old one.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing
the old one, okay. So they're saying the old one that requires the pigtail has the sticker saying the neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right.
I mean, you got to remember just because...
That's tricky stuff.
Yeah. When people are looking at these, just because the home doesn't have arc fault doesn't mean it's not up to code. It's just how the house is wired, so it's not going to have them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't recommend putting arc fault breakers in an older style home because it's not wired and configured so it can work correctly, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's a dumb code when the city, if you're going to relocate a panel more than 6 feet, you got to use arc fault breakers. But how's that going to work when the wiring is not configured in an old style house and you're trying to put arc fault breakers with a lighting circuit that's tied in with the refrigerator?
Right.
Because that's how people wired houses back then.
I heard this story from a guy who recently had an electrical upgrade, and he had AFCI breakers, and he had to remove them.
Really?
Because his stuff kept tripping in the house. We'll talk about him in a little while.
I think I warned that person too about that. I warn all my customers when we're doing new services and we got to relocate panels or they want to rewire houses. I always go through these 10 times in their head so they know that I'm not lying to them.
Right.
Because
I knew you weren't lying. Yeah,
because
I know enough about it.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, but I mean, because customers tend to forget this stuff, and then once I leave, the refrigerator is not working. I gotta constantly go out there and trip the little arc fault thing. What did you guys do wrong? And that's not what we did wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong, everybody. They're just sensitive and they're not configured to be in an old house.
Yeah, and they're doing their job.
Yeah.
What it is. Like a GFCI would work when you have a blow dryer.
Right.
constantly blow
It's
drying.
like I call it a nuisance upgrade.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Because it's just like I mentioned on the other podcast about the oven being on a GFCI. Once again, it's just a nuisance upgrade, and it's gonna be more of a nuisance than anything else.
Yeah,
that's all it is. So now let's talk about Mr. Bulldog.
Yeah, here you go. I have one of these right here in front of you.
These are always fun to look at.
These are always fun to, whether or not you don't even know. It could stay on and it's off. You know, this is a horrible break. Another horrible one.
And literally you push them in. They're called Bulldog Pushmatic. You simply push that button, and it's supposed to trip it on or off.
Yeah.
And you may push it, and it may come out, and it may still be on.
Yeah, or you may not work. You may have to take them off, bang them up a little bit, loosen up the calcium buildup in there, is what you're doing.
Right.
So
I think looking at that, how it looks, that to me looks worse than this.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's so like prehistoric. I just think of like a really, really old time when this was made, but it wasn't that old. Let's see. What's the history on these things? They were installed 1950s and the 60s.
Yeah.
That looks like it's from 1910 to me. 1910 technology.
See, it says it's off and it's actually on.
Right.
Same thing here. It's off and it's on. They're all off, but they're all on probably.
Yeah.
See, like that one's kind of like hesitating in the middle. Like I'm there, but I'm not there.
Oh, I see the indicator. Yeah, it's like halfway there.
You see?
Yeah.
People are always, it's confusing.
And you see the difference of a panel that's outside. All the dust and dirt and the elements get in there and it just make it worse. That's probably why they fail.
Moisture, calcium buildup.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people panels are recommended to be changed out every 15 to 20 years. You know what I mean?
And this is a replacement one. That's a replacement.
And those things are expensive.
And when you say expensive, what do you mean? Like 10,000 or 200?
Like a regular breaker will cost probably $5, $10 max. You know?
Yeah.
Probably one of those refurbished, like in a package, brand new, probably like $50, $40.
That's a little.
Yeah, the Zinsco ones, when you're buying these, $40, $30, easy all day, and they're junk, you know. But they're a company. This is the aftermarket company right here. You can tell.
Yeah.
The color of it, you can see it here.
Mm-hmm.
But these are all original, but still, they're just junk.
Yep. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna have it stuffed. I'm gonna hang it on my wall, for sure. So I'm not sure if I'm going to bronze it. Somebody on my, I posted a little quick YouTube video, a short last night about, hey, I'm going to dissect this thing and have it stuffed. And someone's like, yeah, you should bronze it like the old baby shoes back in the day.
Hang it from your mirrors or driving.
But anyway, so here's a cleaner looking.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that one's a lot
that
cleaner.
actually, you can see that it's off, it's on.
Yeah, maybe that was on the inside of a house. That looks really clean. So that might have been on the inside of a house or a garage or something. So it's not getting beat up by the weather.
Mm-mm.